Help me welcome Nicole Ryan, mom of one,
Aw,
to the
thank
stage
you,
from
Sharon.
From Sirius XM Radio.
So sweet. Thank you guys so much. I'm so excited to be here. There was no way I'm not coming up without notes because I can't remember my name. I can't remember what day it is, what time it is, where I am, and that's what they call mommy brain, I think, a good majority of the time. I'm super excited to be a part of the Moms Rock Expo 2015. Thank you so much to everybody that's been a part of it. This is such a cool event, and I'm just really honored to be here. So I'm in the entertainment industry. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. And all moms, working moms, moms who are stay-at-home moms, just moms in general, all have a super difficult, busy job. And it's important to try to find some sort of semblance of balance in your life, and that's really much easier said than done. And especially in the entertainment industry, you know, my hours are a little bit crazy, and I've had to try to find some sort of way to make this all work and continue to do what I do. So I grew up in Syracuse, New York. I was born and raised there. I have one sister. My father is a dentist, and my mom is a preschool teacher. Great childhood, lots of fun, sort of a small town. And when I was 14, we got uprooted and moved to Greenwich, Connecticut. My dad got an amazing job offer. So we chose to make a change. It was definitely a little bit of culture shock. If you know anything about those two towns, they're very different places. So it was an intense move for me. It was definitely hard, but I made the best of it. So I did all of high school in Connecticut, made great friends, and had a blast. I ended up going to Ithaca College, who oddly enough my parents went to, and they met there. So of course, you know, when you're young, you don't want to do what your parents do, but I ended up going there and loving it, and it was an amazing experience. I would probably, at this point in my life, do anything to go back for just one day. I think everybody feels that way, or at least I do, about college. After that, I moved home for a little bit. You know, was waiting tables, trying to figure out what I wanted to do, because like a lot of people, you still have no idea what your plan is for your career and for your life once you get out of college. You know, you think you're supposed to have it all figured out. You have a major, you've studied, and you're supposed to get out and maybe have an internship and just get a job, and that's just not how it happens. So I left and still had not one clue what my plan was. But that's okay, and I think that that actually ended up aiding me in where I ended up. So I waited tables for a while. I actually took a job at an advertising agency for a little while, for about a year, and decided that wasn't really for me. If you know anything about advertising, you know, I wanted more of the creative side, and I was sort of more on the vendor side of things in advertising. So it wasn't exactly where I wanted to be. It wasn't as exciting. I did want it to be in the entertainment industry, maybe behind the scenes though, you know, in advertising or marketing or public relations, but in the entertainment industry. So I hooked up with a temp agency, which I strongly suggest to anybody who's trying to figure it out, because it gives you sort of a vehicle to try different things out. So I would get, you know, my temp agency would call me and they'd place me, you know, in this company for a week or in this company for a few months, and you can kind of, you know, sometimes they would hire within there. And, you know, so I was trying different places out and seeing what I liked and, you know, what they were good fits for me. My temp agent actually ended up calling, and she said, you know, there's this great position at this company called Sirius Radio. Now, if you know anything about satellite radio, XM started it all. So long before we merged, XM satellite radio was all that existed. So I didn't know about this new radio entertainment company, and I didn't really want anything to do with it. I didn't know, you know, it wasn't exciting. It wasn't like HBO or MTV or something that I knew. So I was scared, and you know, she sort of actually ended up begging me to take the job. She said, I really have an amazing feeling about this company, and if I could find her name and number, I would call her and thank her, because I sort of feel like I credit her for where I am today. You know what I mean? She forced me to, you know, take this leap of faith. Another reason I didn't want to take the job, because it was a reception job. And she sort of urged me to look at it not as a reception job, but to look at it as a foot in the door. You know what I mean? That's a great way to get your foot in the door, and I took it as just that. So I was their receptionist, I was answering calls, and in between getting frustrated and calling my parents crying that I had wasted all of their money on this college career that I'd had, and now I'm just answering phones, and them urging me to stick it out and to make sure that I made the best of it. I tried to do so. I made sure that everybody knew me. I made sure that everybody, you know, wanted to work with me, because I was hoping that, you know, a position would open up and I would possibly get the chance to interview and move off of that reception desk and get a new job within that company. You know, a lot of exciting things started to happen while I was there. Howard Stern joined the company, and we really started to flourish, and I watched the company become this amazing, amazing entity. I ended up getting offered 2 positions, one in the marketing department and one in the advertising department. So I was on the reception desk for probably about a year or so. And at the same time, I had become very, very good friends with some of the boys on this pop channel, on the channel that I'm on now, the Morning Mashup on Sirius XM Hits 1. And they had just lost their girl co-host. They had only had her for a little while. So they decided, you know, we're really good friends. We have this chemistry. And the programming director came and said, I know this is a long shot. I know this is a little bit crazy. But would you audition to possibly be on the show? And I was like, me? First of all, I don't know how to be on the radio. Second of all, are you out of your mind? And third of all, you know, it seemed like if I did take that opportunity, was it going to be something that was fleeting and I was going to do for just a little bit of time, and then I was going to be, you know, starting back at square one and figuring out what I wanted to do with my life? It didn't seem real. It didn't seem like a real job, being a radio host. But you know what? I was young, and I figured now is as good a time as any to do something like this, and so I took the position. I auditioned, obviously, first, and I got the job, and I ended up getting this dream job. I worked with my friends, 3 guys, every single day, and I've been doing it for, I don't know, close to 9 or 10 years now. A lot of really fun opportunities came out of that. It was, I started getting calls from, you know, Chelsea Handler, who's no longer on, you know, on the air anymore. She will be. I believe she's going to Netflix. But when she started her show, Chelsea Lately, her producers and she were big fans of the show, so she called and flew me out to LA to have me on her, you know, her round table. I got calls from MTV, from Fuse to do talking head things, to co-host for days. And so I was like, maybe there's something to this. Like, maybe I made the right decision. It was just so exciting, and all this stuff was happening, and I became the entertainment reporter for the channel. And, you know, I report on all things pop culture all day. So I do it in the morning and also throughout the day. And things just got really, really exciting and really started to open more doors for me. Along that time, I, at some point, fell in love. New York City love story. Met my husband at 3 a.m. in a bar. And we sort of had an on and off thing for a little while, for about a year. You know, he was crazy with his work, and I obviously was crazy with my work. And eventually decided, okay, you know, we're going to take this seriously. And from the first second that he took me on a date, we were inseparable ever since after that. So we fell in love, we got married, and eventually decided that we wanted to have a baby. He's a little bit older than me, and so he was ready to have a baby a little bit earlier than I was. I could have probably used another year or 2, but couldn't be happier that I have the most perfect child ever. I'm sure you all feel the same way about your kids. So, you know, it was something that, for most people, is something that is like the most exciting thing that could ever happen to you. It's one of the biggest milestones that happens to somebody in their life, is starting a family and having a child. I couldn't have been more excited, except for the fact that what I do caused me to question that. So I got pregnant, and all I wanted to do was share with the world, my listeners who are my family, because I share everything about my life with my family. I wanted to share with them that I was pregnant, that I was starting a family, that I was going to, I was procreating. I wanted to scream. I wanted to go into the radio and scream, we're having a baby. Because that's what it felt like, because I share everything, every fight, every mistake I make, all on the radio. And so I wanted to do that. Unfortunately, in the entertainment industry, sometimes it's looked upon as, this might not be the greatest idea. This might hold you back. And it was instilled in me, in my crazy boss, that this might be a deal breaker. Not only was that a deal breaker, but even when I first started seriously dating my husband and got engaged, which was on the air, by the way, and got married, he had urged me, I should have seen it coming, he urged me not to talk about that on the radio. You want to always be attainable. You want people to always think that, you know, you're someone that maybe someday they can get. And he urged me not to even use the word husband, not to talk about the wedding. And so I think from that point on, I knew, I'm pregnant now, I'm screwed. He didn't want me to talk about the fact that I'm married, and now I'm going to share that I'm pregnant. He's going to kill me. So I waited as long as I could. I wore baggy clothes to work as long as I could. I want to say it must have been about maybe 5.5 months I made it, and I couldn't hold it anymore. Not only could I not hold it in, my belly could not be held in anymore. And I needed to think about the logistics of what we were going to do, what we were going to do with the show when I had to have the baby. How are we all going to deal with my leave of absence? How we were going to deal with it on the air? How were we going to announce it? So we were on a work trip. I believe we were touring with the band Fun, and I think we were in Portland, Oregon. And I had built this up in my head that how am I going to do this? How am I going to share this? And I'm thinking, it's 2015. The fact that I am freaking out about telling my boss and my co-host that I'm pregnant, this is insane. Like I was going to shrivel up and die because I was pregnant. So I built it up and I was like, okay, I have to tell them now. I have to tell them we have to figure this out. So we had gotten in late, and I remember we had gone out to go to dinner, and then we were just going to have a quick bite to eat, and then we were going to sleep because we had to obviously be up very early for the show. And I remember, I think if you've ever been nervous about telling anybody something, I remember like warming myself up for it. Like I went to the bathroom real quick, and I was like, okay, you can do this. Like I gave myself a pep talk. And as absurd as this is, this was my experience. This was my truth. This was my reality. And I left the bathroom, like revved up, like I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna tell those boys I'm pregnant. Is this insane that this actually happened to me? And I went out and I remember going, 1, 2, 3, guys, I'm pregnant. And them looking at me like, excuse me? Like they looked at me like I had 10 heads and this could not possibly be happening to them. After they realized I wasn't playing a joke on them, they did, the boys, my co-hosts, my 3 co-hosts, hugged me and were super excited. And my boss, I will never forget it, looked at me and said, I told you not to have kids or to wait to have kids. Your career is over. Now, I tried not to cry because I wanted to be tough. And I knew that that's why I had revved this up in my head and I had gotten myself worked up and so worried and anxious and stressed for months, weeks about this. And obviously, we didn't talk for a little while. We didn't talk for the rest of that work trip. I gave him a piece of my mind. I let him know that was not okay, that again, it is 2015, and if I didn't love you so much, I would go straight to HR and have you fired, because there's nothing okay about telling a woman that. And I also felt like, haven't we come so far? I mean, I feel like in the entertainment industry, women are celebrated. When a celebrity gets pregnant, it's plastered all over the covers of all tabloids. I wanted to be wrong. I wanted them to prove me wrong. I wanted my boss to prove me wrong and to not have that reaction, and he did, and he proved me so right, and it was so disappointing. Cut to, we eventually were forced to talk. I think we didn't talk for like a couple of weeks, though. And we sat down, and obviously to this day, he's apologized. I proved him wrong, that my career was not over, that I would still work just as hard, that I would not let having a child change my work ethic in any way, shape, or form. If anything, it made me a better person. It made me a better radio host. I started getting more opportunities. I was working till the second I had the baby. I think I was at work. Yeah, I was at work, and then the very next day I went into labor on red carpets. Listen, you try to say no to a pregnant girl. I was killing it on red carpets. No celebrity would walk by me because, you can't, how could you look at a pregnant woman and say, no, I don't want to give you a comment? I got more interviews because of that. I shot a few pilots during that time. I remember going in for auditions and for, meetings with networks about possible television shows. And again, finding myself holding in that information. I don't want to share this. I don't want to not get this part or not get this job because they don't want to deal with a pregnant girl. It was almost like the movie Knocked Up, when Katherine Heigl doesn't want to tell anybody because she's so nervous they're not going to want to, keep her in that position. That's sort of what I was feeling. And it ended up that all these people loved it. I became, I became a little bit more, what's the word? People could engage with me better. People could relate to me better. People love to have families. People love moms. And it ended up being, a really, really great thing. The logistics of things were difficult. They only let you have 6 weeks off of work when you give birth naturally, and you get 8 weeks if you have a C-section. And I remember them telling me that and saying, "You're gonna call? You're gonna ask me to prove it? You're gonna call the hospital and say, so how did that baby come out?" And I remember laughing, and guess what? They do. So I made the decision. I took those 6 weeks, and then the last 2 weeks ended up going back on the air from my kitchen. I had the people at SiriusXM bring and set me up an ISDN line, so I was, doing the radio show from my kitchen for the last 2 weeks of my maternity leave. That's dedication. I ended up going back to work, and it was great. It was great having another talking point. I felt like I just had a different way of looking at things. I saw life in general through completely different eyes. But anyone who's in the entertainment industry knows that you have to hustle. You have to continue to take meetings. You have to continue to audition. You know, I couldn't get too comfortable. And the guilt of going back to work after you have a baby is unlike anything I've ever felt in my life. Number one, the first time I left her, the first time I went to that show, I cried the whole way to work. I was weeping, like ugly crying, like I was watching The Notebook in the back of the cab on the way to work, thinking, how am I going to make it through the day? I don't think I could do it. It was unbelievable. From that to the first time I had to be away from her for longer than just that work day. When I had to go on a work trip, I have to leave her for this weekend? I'm a horrible mom. Is she gonna forget who I am? Is she gonna remember what I look like, what I smell like when she sees me? Is she gonna look at me like I'm a stranger when I got back? All these crazy emotions that I think any working mom has definitely felt, has definitely gone through. It's insane the things that go through your head. And then it was important to try to find some sort of balance. How was I going to accomplish this impossible balancing act now that I'm back at work? And I think that there's a lot of things that have helped me, be successful at that thus far. One thing that is paramount is communication with your spouse. If you're not communicating with your spouse that, listen, this week I have this meeting, I have this audition, I have to go to this event. My husband said to me the other day, what are you doing? We need to have a meeting, like a Sunday night briefing of what's going to happen this week and maybe this month, because we both have very important things going on, and you have to respect each other's schedules. He owns his own company. So he said, you can't just assume that you could leave work, go to a meeting, or go to an event, and just assume I'm going to be here. I'm not. I have things to do. So he did actually start, sitting down and doing kind of briefings. It's almost like home became a whole nother workplace. It became a whole nother company that you had to run. It was unbelievable. So I think it's really, really important to have seriously amazing communication with your spouse. I think it's even more important to take those times to have girls' nights. Now you think, you have no time, you're trying to balance work and home and being a good spouse. You still need not just mommy time and you alone time. You need time to just decompress with your girls. You want to go out and you want to have fun and have a cocktail and not think and talk about girl stuff and not think about mommy stuff or work stuff or how maybe you're frustrated and what's going on with your marriage. You want to just go out and let loose. And I think that those girls' nights that I force him to allow me to have are very important. I also, in turn, let him have guys' nights. That's really important. There's a give and take. I found very quickly after having my baby that they are spontaneity ruiners. They will ruin any possibility of doing anything spontaneous ever again. I had a friend the other day that called and said, oh, we happen to have a free night. Do you want to go grab drinks? And I was like, yeah, you know what? I'll just leave the baby at home. She'll be cool. She can fend for herself. I'm good. People forget if they don't have children yet that you have to call a babysitter. You have to plan. So in turn, just like when I have those briefings with my husband about how we're going to handle that week, how we're going to handle that month of schedules and balancing our whole family and both of our jobs, we talk about, okay, maybe we need to make sure that we, reconnect with this couple. We miss this person. We want to go see your parents. We want to go see, a good friend that we haven't seen in forever. And we reach out preemptively and say, we're free this night, this night, and this night. Let's make a plan so you don't call me last minute and expect me to be able to just drop everything and do this. So that's really, really important too. I think it's also very, very important to have put down your damn phone moments or any device for that matter. We really, really, really are all, how many of you walk around? I almost got hit by a car the other day, walking like this down the street. Texting, emailing while I was walking. We don't realize that we even do it anymore. We really don't, and it's insane how addicted we are. It's unbelievable. So my husband and I have decided when we have that moment, we both stopped working for a second, the baby's asleep for a second, or she's just gone to sleep, we've cooked dinner, and we might be able to, just for a moment, put our feet up and relax, maybe even hit up the DVR, I don't know, that we're going to actually engage. We're not going to passively spend time with each other, because that's not real quality time. We're going to put down our phones, and we're going to look at each other, and we're going to say, how was your day? How are you? How are you feeling? Are you worried about this and this coming up? What's going on with this friend? And I can't express to you what a difference it made. I didn't realize how much our devices were hindering us, to be completely honest. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And by, disconnecting and unplugging, you really end up reconnecting with your spouse. And that's so important, because things get so insane once you have a child and you're responsible not just for your marriage and your career, but this other human being. It's insane. I also think it's really important to live in the moment. I think our lives almost are like an episode of Amazing Race. How am I going to get through this? I wake up in the morning and I don't even say, and take a moment to breathe and stretch anymore. I just think automatically, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do today? How am I going to get through this week? I mean, I'm sure all of you have woken up on a Monday and been like, please, God, let it be Friday. And you have so long to go, and all you can think about is just getting to the finish line and not enjoying what you have. I so many times forget what a cool job I have. I go into work every morning, and I talk on the radio with my friends for a few hours. And I get to go shoot a live television show once or twice a week. These are amazing things. I have a lovely marriage. I have an amazing dog. I have an amazing, healthy, happy baby. And just to take those moments to appreciate and acknowledge them instead of racing to the finish line, how am I going to get through this, I just think is more important than you'll ever know. You also need an outlet. You need time to decompress, whether that's having a glass of wine, going out with your friends, working out, sitting down and reading a magazine, having a friend that you can just kind of unload all your crap on, because we're all stressed from a million different things, and you need that. I happen to have it in the form of listeners. I sort of unload every morning on whatever's going on in my life, and it's really kind of nice. Therapy, don't be afraid of it. If you're able to go see a therapist, lay down and just unleash, let it all out, and then walk out, and you've left all your crap there for the day. It's really nice. And whether that's a therapist or a friend or your mom, it doesn't matter who it is. It's just, it's a really, really, really important thing. I also think it's important not to hold on to things. I mean, I used to be the biggest grudge holder ever. There's no time for that, okay? You've got a baby. There's so many more important things. You've got a baby, again, your career, your spouse, a marriage. It's so important not just to hold on. So any given time, if I'm stressed, anxious, or upset about something, it's on the table. I'm going to let you know I'm not holding this in. It's not going to happen. It's important to learn to listen and not just hear. I think that's something that we do all the time, passively think that we hear something. Just really looking at someone and engaging, again, when you disconnect, when you choose to have those moments, those put down your damn phone moments. And I think it's also really important to be positive. Put as much positivity out as you can. Again, I have those moments when I wake up and I'm like, how am I going to do this? I'm so tired. I've got back-to-back things all day, and all I want when I wake up in the morning is to be back in my bed. How am I going to get through this day and get to that moment when I get back? I'm the biggest believer in the secret. Put out good vibes, good energy, and positivity. And you wake up with a whole different mindset. I'm going to do this. I can tackle this day. I'm going to get through it one thing at a time. You have to set manageable goals for yourself. So instead of looking at it as the whole day, and I have to do this, and I have to take the baby here, and I have to go to this meeting, don't do that. One thing at a time, one moment at a time, 1 hour at a time. Okay, I'm going to go to this meeting, and almost like a checklist. That's sort of how I attack things. Also, don't overextend yourself. Because we already have all these things that are built-in craziness, built-in stressors of all of our work commitments, our friend commitments, our family commitments, our baby commitments. It's easy to want to be a people pleaser, and that's something that I definitely had to learn. It's okay to say no. It's okay to say no, because once you overextend yourself, it's over. And it's okay to say no. You're going to be a better mom. You're going to be a better wife or husband. You're going to be a better coworker. You're going to be a better friend. It's just really, really important. I just think, in general, being a mom is hard. It's hard work, and the rest of life is hard. And so I think it's so, so important to just know that you can do it. You can 1,000,000% do it. We all do it. Moms are amazing. Being a mom has changed my life, and I couldn't be happier. I can't wait to do it again. And all of these things that we sort of talked about are just sort of tips to help you get through it, one day at a time. Thank you guys so much.